Well,
Here we are.
here we are, and I'm gonna move from
Because
here.
I know Beatriz Paredes.
Do you know Beatriz Paredes?
Yeah, I've been traveling with her to Antarctica, and we also went to the south part of what's the name here in Mexico? The south part. Veracruz.
Veracruz.
Yep. Together
Okay.
with our former leader.
Well, it's been like
3 years ago.
it's been like 2 years, and she's not the president anymore. We have like one president after the election, and then we changed. And now we have another president. It's called Pedro Joaquin Colwell. Is the name. Right now, Beatriz Paredes is doing other things. But well, you know, we had just this election. It was a really kind of controversial election. There was a lot of black campaign, you know, like negative campaign, and there was a lot of things and manipulation from how to say it, like the left was kind of manipulating young people with, well, the other left, because we're like center left. We have this with this party called PRD. Yes, and well, they have like members that are good members, in fact. But this guy called Andrés Manuel López Obrador, he used to belong to our party, but then he changed it. He changed because he didn't get a candidature for governor of one state called Tabasco in the south. And well, he was running against Enrique Peña Nieto, that now is our elected president. And well, the thing is that after 12 years where we were not in the power, now we have get the trust of people. So it's like really, for us, it's like a big responsibility, because we need to really prove that our party has changed and that we win because we have evolved, and not because we just win, you know. It's like because we're something different, because we're something new, because Enrique Peña Nieto is a new person that has a new way of thinking, and he wants to make things like really different, because it's like another generation of politics that belong to the pre. So like just like as I am, you know, like when we lose the election, I wasn't in the party. I was just like 15 years old. But right now, I think I'm really involved with my party, and I really love my party, my political party. So I'm having this trip around Europe to collect some information of how people in other political parties, like social democratic ideas, perceive Mexico and perceive the PRI, and how do you think we can change and we can evolve, because we need to really show to the Mexican society that we are like in the best position to make a move to better things, you know, to keep better goals. And well, I don't know if you want us to make the interview in English or Spanish. It doesn't really matter.
I do it in English.
Okay.
You understand.
Okay,
But I think it's. I mean, we have had a long relations with PRI, up and down.
Okay.
And during the last leadership of our former president, Mona Sahlin, it get tighter because it was two women who were the president. So Beatriz and Mona traveled to Antarctica together, from Chile to the really South Pole, because of the climate change issue, and they met a few times. That was, of course, a game starter between our parties again.
Okay.
Which meant that we were looking for environmental projects, how the climate change was affecting the subtropical environment in the world, and that's why we went to Veracruz to study what is happening actually in Veracruz due to the climate change. So that trip was, I think it was almost a week, which is a very long time for our president to be outside of Sweden and monitoring something. that was extremely good. And then we get a feeling back in 2008 that things were happening with PREV. It was positive. Changing the agenda, more transparent, fighting against corruption, getting rid of the past, which has not been that good. We said good luck, hope you win the election and that you can reform yourself. But it's not that we have an everyday communication or relation, but we stay friends to PRI, of course, and we have also stayed friends to PRD. Because it's not one of our neighboring countries, though Mexico is a very important economic factor in the world. It's a growing economy and it's important for Sweden, for Europe, for the European Union to have good relations with Mexico. So that's why I squeezed in half an hour with you in very, very short notice, because I'm interested to hear what is happening in Mexico. I mean, most of the things which is broadcasted from Mexico in Sweden and Europe is connected to the drug crimes, and about the fight between the military, the police, and the different cartels, and the really high number of deaths connected to that. So I think
that was a battle that the right wing just started, and they just were making it every day stronger and stronger and stronger, and investing more in weapons and more in police forces.
Yeah, we saw that.
Can we change, can you move like this so I can have more light?
Is it bad?
Thank you. No, it's hot. It could be better.
Take my.
Yes, thank you. And
so what are you doing
with this?
With the drugs?
What are we doing with the drugs? Can I put this here?
No, this is the native.
Ah, okay.
It's something I get in Kabul.
Or only that?
Oh no, we don't have time. I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
We have to.
Okay, we have to quick. Well, what are we doing with drugs now?
Yeah.
I think we're gonna explore new options, because in fact our last president that belongs to the PRI, he's teaching in jail, US and near to New York, the Yale University, and as well this other president that is right, Vicente Fox. They have already said we need to try something new, because this war against drugs is not going anywhere. It's not getting us anywhere. It's just like a lost battle, because there's demand, and the cartels are just getting so much money than we can just invest in our military forces. So it's like a lost battle. So we need to change our view. We need to change our things, the way we're taking things on that. And well, I think something's gonna change with Enrique Peña Nieto. We maybe we are maybe trying something new. I don't know what are we going to do, but for sure something different is gonna happen. And what's the thing here with drugs? Do you have kind of big problems with that, just health problems, because it have become for us a security problem, and it could be just a health problem,
Yeah, it's of course a health problem in Sweden too, with drug addicts. It costs a lot of money to the social security, to a lot of people who is trapped in drug abuse, but it's not in the same magnitude as Mexico. I mean, we have a lot of cases with very heavy crime in Sweden, and there is actually a famous investigation and trial now going on in one of these cartels, and there is always an element of drugs in these problems. Of course, drugs is coming from different ways to Sweden. It's coming from Latin America, it's coming from Colombia, it's all very often reloaded somewhere in Europe, so Sweden is not the first country. But since the European Union and Schengen is a free area, you can reload the drugs in France or in the Netherlands, and then you can go by car or truck to Sweden. So it's hit us from Latin America. The same in Afghanistan. I was in Kabul last week, and most of the opium is coming still from Afghanistan, which is sold here in the squares in Stockholm.
Yes.
But we are not combating the drugs in the same way as you are in Mexico, of course. It's not the same magnitude of problem.
Do you think it's like a mistake to fight drugs like that way? Because the demand is there.
Yeah, I know. I can't. I think the legalizing track is wrong. We do believe that it's right that drugs are illegal, and then of course the society must enforce that it's illegal to sell, it's illegal to abuse, it's not productive for a society. We also regard a lot of crimes as a social problem from the beginning. There is a lack of education, there's a lack of work, which means that people are starting to abuse drugs. Then they are trapped and they have to sell drugs to survive, and then the story goes on. So the best way of combating all types of crime, including the drugs, is of course to start to focus on unemployment, education, social projects. That's where everything started. I fully understand that in Mexico the problem is in such stake that you have to do really extraordinary things, and that's something that you have to decide on.
Yes, in fact. What do you think is like the main problem, not only in Mexico, I mean like in Latin America? What's like the biggest the biggest things like we have to do to develop like a better and more kind of stable economy, and to just get a better and more open relationship with world's economy? And like if you think that to become like a block of countries, like having like a Latin American Union could work for us?
I'm very optimistic about Latin America. I spent a lot of time I lived 6 months in Chile, 2010, and I've seen the changes in Chile during 15 years. I visited that country many times. I visited Mexico a few times more. I think the most important is, like in Sweden, to invest in what is doing the productive things of society. Education, social security, good pension system, democracy, transparency, and most of these things, education system, most of these issues is actually domestic. That's also a failure in Europe, that each country has to look at their competitiveness to see what can we produce here in Sweden, what can we produce in Greece, what can we produce in Mexico, and to focus on that, and to build a society where people can grow, where we can foster growth, where a young kid can have a lot of possibilities to enjoy their freedom by getting the right and good education. So that is really the core. And since the military dictatorship disappeared from Latin America and the societies is starting to grow, we have seen positive steps. Chile, in Brazil, Costa Rica, even Peru is getting much better. Maybe we will have a peace in Colombia. Argentina has their severe problem with the economy, which they have to combat themselves. So I'm not a big fan of course, countries could cooperate, but the most important for each and single country is to make sure that they build their own system, stable system, within the economic framework to build a good university system, good education system, gender balanced society, targeting youth. I mean, one of the biggest problems in Europe now is the youth unemployment. That's also a big problem in Latin America.
Yes.
And that is creating generations after generation which will not be a part of society. And then you have, no coincidence, problems with drugs, big clashes between different groups, segregation, poverty, and so on. But I've seen the good changes in Chile, which can happen everywhere in the rest of Latin America too. A lot is connected to democracy, to choosing a path, like in Mexico, where you can see the use of an open, free market economy, but at the same time a democracy which can balance that, and also in a fair and transparent way, take taxes from companies and from people, which you do in a trustworthy way, and to redistribute that. I mean, that is, if you look at Sweden, this is what we have done during the past 100 years. Sweden was one of the most poor countries in Europe, up in the cold north. That has been transformed after the Industrial Revolution, and much thanks to the Swedish Social Democratic Party. We have used the open free market, but we have built a public sector on tax and redistributed and invested in good infrastructure, because Sweden is a big country. You need to commute, you need to transport the things we produce in the north part of Sweden to the south and to the rest of Europe. We need to have a good education system, so we invented a free public school, good free public school for everyone. So there are no private schools where you can buy your own education. It's within the public school. It's compulsory for everyone from the age of 7. We have a free upper secondary school, and we also have the free access to universities.
Okay.
So that is really the basic to build a good economy, we think.
Yes, in fact, I believe it.
That's where it started. And then at the same time you have the other system, which I also can see in Latin America, like the pension system. It started with Michelle Bachelet, who introduced the pension system for mothers.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good start. Not that extremely youth, but very important for a certain segment in a society. And it was a signal that the start of a state pension. And then the infrastructure. You can see the changes in Latin America, from bad roads to better roads.
Yes. How do you think a really good train system can change Mexico? Because we have like no trains at all. Like you always take a bus or a flight.
Yeah.
And the train lanes we have, that's just for not for passengers, it's just for heavy charges.
I have no ideas about what is the best transport system for Mexico. That's something you have to elaborate on yourself. It's our neighboring country, Norway, has a different geography than Sweden, a lot of mountains, and of course trains would be very, very expensive. We have our mountains in the north, and there we don't have any trains, obvious reason.
Yes.
So of course you have to look on what is the most cost-effective solution. Our system is based on train in the south part of Sweden. It's cost-effective between our 3 biggest cities, Stockholm, Göteborg, Malmö in the south. And we try to invest more in train to reduce the number of trucks, because it's polluting and it's taking a lot of space in the roads. So it's twofold. And it will be cheaper in the long run, because the gas price will go up.
For sure.
For sure. So that's also something you have to take in consideration. Even if you produce your own, or...
Do you still have like 3 minutes more?
3 minutes, yeah.
Okay. This question. Do you have like higher taxes, like high taxes for people getting a car? Like, do you make it more difficult? So you can make them choose another way of transportation, as a bicycle or as using the train or this really good public transportation you have?
We have different types of tax. There is one tax on gas, which is fairly high. That's actually around 30% of the gas price is tax.
Okay.
We also have the VAT on gas. So tax and VAT on gas. Then we have a tax on owning a car, and that is proportional to the weight and how much carbon dioxide the car is producing. So if you have a bigger car, a faster car with a big motor, with a high power of the motor, you pay more in tax. This tax is used also for building the roads. And then we have something which is only in the capital, Stockholm. It's a congestion tax, which means that you pay 10 Swedish crowns, €1 when you go into the city, and you pay €1 when you go back. And if you go around 4 o'clock when there is a heavy traffic, you pay the double, you pay 2, and it's free on weekdays, on holidays. So that is basically the tax. So of course it's cheaper to commute by train or metro in Stockholm. The price we pay for one monthly card of accessing the public transportation in Stockholm is subsidized by roughly 40%. So 60% is paid by me as a consumer, the price, 40% is subsidized through the tax system.
Okay.
But it's the same problem like everywhere. Everyone likes the better public transportation. It's very crowded.
Yes.
There are problems with buses which is not coming, or trains which is not working. Sweden is a cold country. You can imagine when it's minus 25 and a lot of snow, it happens that the train will not show up in the station.
Yes, for sure.
So, but it's for sure it's cheaper to commute publicly than having your own car.
For sure. And what's like this is like the last question. What's like the perception, or what are you expecting about our new president, Enrique Peña Nieto? Like, what's your point of view of him?
Much the same as I said about my experience of Chile, that any president in Latin America will invest in education, in jobs, in growth, which will give more jobs, more opportunities, more freedoms, focusing on the assets, which is the people. The education is the core. That is the only way how we can combat youth unemployment. That's the only way how we could afford a better public health care or public roads or infrastructure. It's starting where we get the money in, and it's by the productivity of the people that we also give the freedom of the people. So I hope that Mexico will stay a good partner to Sweden, to European Union, and to United States, one of your neighbors. And I also very dearly believe and hope that you can combat the problem of the drugs and the violence connected to the drugs, because I think that's extremely sad and very important for the future of Mexico and a lot of the region as such.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you so much.